What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I've been active regularly or predictably on YouTube. You know, sometimes it just doesn't feel right. And lately I've just been doing a lot of introspective work, and sometimes I just really don't feel like making videos. I've been really doing my best to do a whole lot of like really deep introspection. Been doing a lot of inner temple work, I've been doing a lot of profound yoga on myself. You guys, just a tidbit of information here. You don't need to go to some expensive fucking yoga class to practice proper yoga. In fact, the best yoga for your system is deep trance-like yoga. And I don't want to get too deep into that in this video, but ladies and gentlemen, with the right materials, things like the yoga systems of Frank Rudolph Jung, you can take stuff from like Dr. Stephen Chang in the Complete System of Self-Healing. You can mix it with Frank Rudolph Jung's work. You can take little pieces of the like Tibetan yoga systems, and you can take your magic and incorporate it. You can even pepper your yoga with properly administered states of non-ordinary reality, as Don Juan Matus, the Yaqui Indian sorcerer who taught Carlos Castaneda, would call these states of consciousness. You can actually incorporate sorcery, which is different from magic, but you can incorporate sorcery as well as magic into your yoga practices and quantum leap the effectiveness of your yoga. No one else is talking about this. I don't see it anywhere. YouTube has become this cesspit, especially within the spiritual community on YouTube. It's monumental, and I'm not putting myself on a pedestal. I know that my channel has a lot of developing to do, and I'm trying to constantly get better. But come on, guys, this is ridiculous. But yoga is a really profound system. The problem with modern yoga, in my opinion, and this is just a little opinion before we continue with this video, the problem with modern yoga that is taught in groups is that there's not enough emphasis on the work prior to starting the yoga. There needs to be extensive full body relaxation. There needs to be a lot of inner work done before the yoga is commenced. And you also need to know why you're practicing yoga. In essence, ladies and gentlemen, you're practicing yoga to correct your aberrated spine positioning. The vertebral openings in your spine are responsible for sending impulses from your head to your body and from your body to your head. And a lot of people's vertebral openings are restricted due to bad posture, bad sleeping patterns, people sleeping on beds. People don't sleep on hard surfaces. So all of these things, ladies and gentlemen, restrict the health of your spine and cause the vertebral openings to actually become smaller and smaller. And when that happens, you don't have proper nerve transmission. You don't have proper communication from your head, which is the kingdom, to the rest of your body. This is why people start to look like they're aging at around 30 to a large extent. Posture and aging go hand in hand, and your posture's connection to your subconscious mind and your muscle groups and their connection to your subconscious mind is profound, and no one's fucking talking about this. So, you want to increase your confidence, work on your spine and work on building the proper muscle groups instead of the wrong muscle groups, because you as a man, for instance, you can build up the wrong muscle groups, and in doing so, you can actually lose confidence. I shit you not. By building up the proper muscle groups and building your spine, you can increase your confidence. The way that you hold yourself is literally the way that you present yourself into the world. And if you're non-confident, you're not going to be projecting a very confident view or image to the world. But it's not so much about, I present myself to the world this way. It's how you feel. How you feel deep down is what causes the projection out into the world. And you will never feel truly 100%, ladies and gentlemen, if your spine is all out of alignment and your vertebral openings are not in their best positioning. So I've known this for years. For over 15 years, I've been privy to the fact that our posture largely creates our reality. and it's intimately connected to our subconscious mind. It was nice to pick up some of Frank Rudolph Jung's books and read through them and see that, okay, this guy knows what's up. He's talking about the vertebral openings. There are people out there that know, and I'm not, again, propping myself up by saying that. It's just a lot of you guys have known it too, that watch these videos or listen to them. You know that the fucking posture has a lot to do with your reality. I mean, enough's enough. We've got to start, like, doing the right thing in opposition to this system that just wants us to be just kind of like glorified idiots. But again, incorporating sorcery into your yoga, incorporating magic, doing the full body relaxation exercise for upwards of an hour before you start doing your yoga. Do you have any clue how much more effective your yoga is going to be if you fully relax your body properly for an hour with the full body relaxation exercise? I mean, it should be not about doing yoga, it should be about doing it smart. Any idiot can get into a room and stretch. But if you don't warm up properly, folks, you're not going to be getting the benefit out of the stretch. Yoga is a very deep, spiritual, psychosomatic training program. Without the proper relaxation of the body, you're not going to get much done. And you can do far less with yoga if you stretch yourself properly or prepare yourself properly. You can get a lot more done in a short amount of time. It's all about preparation to a large extent with a lot of these spiritual practices, whether it be a physical practice like yoga or a physical kind of mental practice like magic. Magic in essence is the yoga of the mind, but we use tools as initiates within the magical system, Western magic. We use them because our minds are highly distracted. Once a magician gets his or her mind straight, he or she will be able to not need the tools. It's the yoga of the mind, magic, whereas sorcery is the art of, piercing the veil of consciousness and moving the assemblage point to foreign positions. This causes what Don Juan Matus would call states of non-ordinary reality. Sorcery is the art of altering consciousness within a ritualized framework, deriving benefit from doing so by exploring these worlds and then bringing the information back to the material realm and building upon the successes within these foreign realms with these foreign assemblage point installations that you experience. A lot more could be said about that, folks. So we've got to get on the right track and get some friction going. Get the rubber to meet the road and sustain that friction. Otherwise, you're not going to really get very far. You might get a little far and then stop, and then the key, ladies and gentlemen, is persistence with yoga, with magic, with sorcery, with all of it. Persistence. And there will be bumps in the road. There will be turbulence, and these things will potentially throw you out of alignment or off course. It does for a lot of people. I know I've been thrown off course. But again, persistence, that's the key. And sadly, a lot of the people who are talking about yoga, they're talking about yoga from the perspective of like weight loss, and although that's great, weight loss shouldn't be the key here, folks. It just shouldn't. Weight loss should not be the key to fucking health. Weight loss and wearing your Fitbit and taking your multivitamin, that's not health, folks. Getting your mind right is health. When you get your mind right, everything else falls into fucking place. It's kind of like this, folks. Have you ever, as a young child, played that game? I don't even necessarily think it's a game. It's something that parents give their children at a young age. It's like a flat board with all these cutouts in the board. And one might be shaped like a star, one might be shaped like a circle, one might be shaped like a moon. So you give your children this board with all the little pieces because the child needs to learn how to put, align designs with designs. So the kid will take the circle and try to put it through the moon and it won't fit. And through trial and error, he'll learn that, okay, that's a square, that's a fucking circle, that's a fucking moon. And then shapes. You create a subconscious belief about shapes, and now you understand shape. Getting your mind right is like learning the shapes. Getting your mind right is how you get healthy. Creating a strong connection between your innermost intimate parts of your mind and your conscious mind. Understanding what real power is, understanding what real health is, understanding what real control of the mind is, understanding your limitations and your strong suits, learning what you're good at and what you're not at, understanding what your talents are from what they aren't, getting a realistic view of who you are. That's how you start getting healthy. You don't get healthy by running and just following the system's standards on health. Most people approach health from the perspective of, okay, I'm going to get my body really rigid and lean. You could be the most lean-looking motherfucker in the world and still be dumber than bricks. And I'm not trying to sound judgmental by saying that. I'm just being honest. There is so much more than fitness, or to fitness, than just physicality. Real fitness comes from strength of the mind, because only through strength of the mind do you have proper control over your physical body parts. Ladies and gentlemen, real fitness comes from you being able to control and regulate your breathing. It's not just a matter of, oh, I lift weights or this, that, and the other. I mean, the vanity around modern health is disgusting, and it's more proof of just how unconscious we are. I see so many dildos walking around on a daily basis with their chest perked out and their fitness shirts on, and thinking that they've pretty much made it to like the sum total of human evolution because you have big muscles and you slam creatine. Come on, guys. Real strength comes from real yoga, and yoga means union. Union in the yogic context is when body and spirit align. This is Kundalini. Real yoga is real health because it's Kundalini. Yoga is the proper alignment of your body and your mind so that spirit can ignite within you and bring you into states of realization. We practice yoga not to have six-pack abs. We practice yoga to align our body and our mind. We practice yoga to reposition the proper positioning of our spine, folks. The spine is the true stairway to heaven. It's the fucking phone that connects us to God. We have to open up our vertebral openings. We've got to create a subconscious connection between our spine and our muscle groups and our body and our mind. So, really, truly wise people know that humanity is in a state where we're broken, and that there are certain steps that need to be taken so that we can become non-broken. Yoga is one of those pieces to the puzzle. Sorcery is certainly one of the most important pieces. Magic, mind power, proper diet, exercise, all of these things. But to be able to weave them into one wheel where all of the spokes are spidered around the hub of health, that's the real test. Integration of all of the arts of healing, ladies and gentlemen. The integration of it all. Being a Renaissance man of sorts. So, this type of stuff is not for the faint of heart, especially when we delve into the realm of sorcery. When we start to move the assemblage point. And practicing certain forms of yoga can radically tear the assemblage point and put it into new positions, alien positions where you are literally in different fucking worlds. I experienced my first full-blown Kundalini experience while holding myself in a yoga position known as Sarvagasana, or the shoulder stand, in my early 20s on the cusp of Easter at about 11:55 p.m. the night before Easter. So, oh man, it's just crazy how what I've seen, what I've been through, and what I've learned along this journey. It's a very dark journey, and only the true, I don't want to say warriors because that's such a castaneda term, but only those with eyes to see will be able to navigate through the abyss and not be terrified into like running to like religious systems to comfort them on their journey, because there are certain things that you'll come into a realization of. Waiting for this idiot to, waiting for someone to pass and they don't know how to drive. There are certain things that you'll come into contact with, ladies and gentlemen, that will frighten you damn near to death if you truly start waking up this Kundalini energy. Now you may be thinking, oh, well, why would I do it if it's going to scare me? Why would I want to wake this energy up? It scares people because it makes them truly conscious. You see, you navigate through a predatory world, this dimension that we live in that I call the Matrix. This is a domesticated creature, or this is a domesticated world, and we've become false. We are a domesticated fucking species living in a false environment, excuse me. Where you've been raised in culture and you've had your assemblage point shifted and locked into a position where you're comfortable here in hell. It's called ignorance is bliss. When you start to reposition the assemblage point through the awakening of Kundalini by way of moving the spine and opening the vertebral openings and practicing sorcery and enveloping yourself with magic, once you start to create your secondary field, if you want to call it that, once you start to create a vortex within this dimension where you start to create a unique path dedicated to the art of awakening the Kundalini. There's so much more that can be said about that, excuse me. But once you start creating that secondary world, you start to become more conscious as you do all these things. And as you become more conscious and as you shed the layers of stupidity that were installed in your consciousness and cognition, you come into contact with certain realizations that will very much so frighten people into adopting outdated religious systems as comfort mechanisms to fall back into their old life and let go of their progress. I hope that makes sense. There are so many people along the razor's edge, walking the sorcerer's path, that once they get nudged into the abyss a little too far, they never want to go back again, and they adopt old, outdated methodologies of thinking and viewing the world, God complexes and all this other nonsense. People adopt these systems to actually cope with the hardcore layers of reality that they spent the majority of their lives growing up not coming into contact with. Kundalini shows you the truth. The truth is more than most people can handle. Most people can't swallow the truth. Because once you really do swallow the truth, and if you swallow the truth all at once and not in little increments, I swallowed it all at once, it can drive you mad. In fact, it will drive you insane. It's called the dark night of the soul, but it's much more than just one motherfucking night. You see, the ancients viewed the night and the day as eternities that consume themselves. The dark night of the soul is more often than not an 8 to 15 year process of reintegration after the Kundalini energy awakens in the coccyx and opens up the kingdom of heaven in the brain. This is no joke. These are serious things and should not be taken lightly. See, we've been trained and conditioned to operate in a very specific way. It's called being a slave. When you awaken Kundalini, it removes your slavehood. It repositions your assemblage point and makes your energetic field non-congruent with the masses around you. So now what used to be like magnets conjoining is now opposing magnets. People that you used to like, you may not like anymore. People that used to like you may not like you anymore. You might make people angrier than angry just by being in the room with them. When your energetic field takes on alien configurations and integrates those configurations, the masses around you, whether they're conscious of it or not, begin to resist you because people don't like change. People are very herd-oriented, culturally brainwashed people. When you have created alien configurations in your energetic field by way of moving the assemblage point or shifting it, because shifting and moving the assemblage point are totally different. I should have mentioned that at the beginning of the video. You agitate a response in people just by being in the room energetically with them. So much more could be said about that. I mean, I could go on and on and on forever about this stuff, folks. There's no need to elaborate too deeply. But, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. So I hope you guys have all had a good weekend so far. I hope that you're all taking daily steps towards a greater version of yourself while still having fun. Nobody said you couldn't party. Nobody said you couldn't have some tobacco here and there, or a little bit of alcohol if you can control it, or whatever it is that you like. You take your pleasures where you can get them and you keep moving on. So I'm not someone who's supportive of tobacco and alcohol and this, that, and the other, but, you know, there are certain things, nootropic compounds and sacraments that I take from time to time as my little rewards. So, you know, for some weird reason, spirituality and health has gotten lumped into like this holier than thou fucking mentality where, oh, you know, he's on a spiritual path. He's straight edge or all this other bullshit. Motherfucker, sorcerers are some of the darkest people in the world. And I don't mean that in a bad way. But magicians are some of the, I mean, to think that we're just these squeaky clean people, it's fucking stupid. It's fucking dumb. So, the key is balance, folks. Balance. You know, throughout the past, God, I've been sober from tobacco for so long, but since I've been sober from tobacco, occasionally I'll have like a puff of organic tobacco. Just one, maybe two. But I never get back on that, you know? Tobacco is one of those things where if you don't have control over it, it'll really it'll kill you. So, balance, ladies and gentlemen. If you can control yourself, have fun in the control. Being able to have control over yourself is a beautiful fucking thing. And I'm not saying that I'm in control of myself perfectly. Absolutely not. There's still so many things I'm working on. But when it comes to certain things, especially the consumption of certain sacraments, I have absolute control over that. The problem with sacraments, and I'm not going to explain what those are, because if you don't know what they are, I'm not going to get into that intimate detail in this video, but with sacraments, things that can take you into non-ordinary states of reality, there's an allure to them, there's a seductive quality to them, and if you can get sucked into them easily. So, the key to sorcery, ladies and gentlemen, is to take those non-ordinary states of reality and envelop your magic into them. Excuse me. I don't know if there's like a bunch of pollen in the air or what, but California is like really dry right now or something. I keep getting what feels like stuff on the back of my throat. And there's just so much room for development here, you guys. This is a developmental treasure chest, this dimension. It's a beautiful place. The Matrix is a disgusting world that's been thrown into the the natural world, and it tries to seduce you out of being who it gives you a state of spiritual amnesia by way of moving the assemblage point. Your goal, if you're on the path of the magician, if you're walking the razor's edge, if you're awakening the kundalini, if you're trying to create a relationship with your higher self, your subconscious mind, and all these other things, your job, ladies and gentlemen, is to reassemble or to shift your assemblage point enough to where you can learn the truth and then integrate it into the material life here in the Matrix. This makes you a radically different individual than the people around you. It will indeed make you more real than the world around you. It's a very, very interesting thing to learn certain shamanic, sorcery-based, magical concepts to the point where you integrate them into who you are, where you create a secondary field, and then you're now, your blood is ancient, but you're in the realm of illusions. It's a very, very interesting to have a shamanic consciousness while in the material realm, while in the Matrix. And I'm not talking about all this ayahuasca shit, and, you know, I went off to some retreat, and, you know, all this other nonsense. I'm not bashing ayahuasca per se. I'm saying that there's so many people out here that like, oh man, I did an ayahuasca retreat, it was so great. And it's like, well, where are you now? You end up relying on the ayahuasca to get into the magical realm. No. It doesn't start and stop with a sacrament. That's why I said there's a seductive quality to sacraments. You learn what you can from them, and you never stop growing when you're not using them. This is a constant cycle of growth, but there also has to be a very deep cycle of relaxation and rest. You can use up a lot of your energy in the realm of sorcery, especially in the realm of sorcery. You can also learn very, very profound regeneration techniques by practicing sorcery, and sorcery can keep you young as well. There are so many secrets out here, folks. Everything comes with its risks. Everything. Whether it's you getting on a bike and biking around town, you run the risk of fucking getting hit by a car. You also run the risk of increasing your endurance and becoming a healthier, leaner you. So everything comes with its risks. However, with sorcery, especially sorcery geared towards awakening the serpent, the Kundalini, there's a lot of risks there because you're risking the loss of your sanity. And that's not me saying that sorcery is a bad thing. I'm saying that it's dangerous. And it's not dangerous in the sense of it being able to kill you. It's dangerous, ladies and gentlemen, because it threatens the ego's grasp over your consciousness. And the ego that I'm referring to in this video is the culturally indoctrinated mass configuration of the assemblage point in human beings worldwide. You grew up in a culture that, through time, from the age of 0 to about 10, it shifted your assemblage point and locked your energetic field in a particular configuration, which limited your mind and your consciousness and your organs' ability to interact with the electromagnetic spectrum. It imprisoned you. Sorcery is the panacea of the mind-controlled mind. But here's the thing. Destroying layers of mind control and repositioning the assemblage point, it's not like a surgery where you get it done and I had my stitches put on and now I'm healed. No, there's a trauma that comes from removing the mind control, because now you've lost the mechanism that you've used to look at reality. You look at reality through the positioning of your fucking assemblage point, folks. Sorcery allows you to move the assemblage point. Shifting the assemblage point. Because moving the assemblage point is much different. Shifting the assemblage point can drive you mad, but moving the assemblage point will drive you mad in this fucking material matrix. A moving of the assemblage point is when the assemblage point, folks, moves outside of our energetic field. Shifting it is when we move it within the field. The two produce drastically different states of experiences, if you will. So your energetic field in the assemblage point within it, you have infinite amounts of possibilities on where you can move this assemblage point and experience different states of consciousness. You weren't designed to experience the same reality day in and fucking day out. Work. It's fucking dumb. I'm not saying that it's not essential. We all have to make money to live in this material realm. We live in a world where we have to pay to play. I'm aware of that. I'm cognizant of that, folks. So I'm not judging people for working. I work too. We all do, to the best of our ability. But I mean, come on. You can live in the world and not be of it. You can be aware of the stupidity of its design. And that's kind of the foundation of all Gnostic thought, to a large extent, is that the world is flawed, and that the body and the mind has been imprisoned in a state of consciousness that represents imprisonment, slavehood. And that it's the initiates, the true initiation is you piercing or attaining states of consciousness outside of the flawed, hypnotized state of consciousness that you've been put into, to be a slave. That's the foundation of Gnosticism. That you have the ability to attain gnosis. You have the ability, as an individual here in hell, to experience enlightenment. Very simple, folks. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this one up. I love you. Peace be with you all.